Good evening. Qualifications for running for City Commission. Well, I think I have some diverse qualifications that qualify me for that position. I settled in High Springs as part of my work in the film industry. And because of that, I've lived in a number of different places around the United States and even overseas. But I've always been invested in community. And I'd like to bring my experience in other communities to this community because I love what's here. I came here not to change something, but because there was an opportunity and I decided High Springs was a nice place to settle. And I've always served my community in public service, and the opportunity to be on commission is the next step for me. From the time I moved here a little over 6 years ago, I began volunteering with the community theater. And when the opportunity to join the Main Street program came up, I did that, and I've chaired the design team since the Main Street program was initiated. I also am now on the board of the Community Development Corporation, which oversees Main Street and treasurer in that regard. But I've also served 2 terms with the Parks and Recreation Board here in the city and learned a lot about the city that way. I've been on the Historic Commission Task Force, which is appointed by the City Commission, and really looked at a lot of the neighborhoods and issues regarding buildings that we have here. And I want to be involved. When I lived in Chicago, I was involved in community policing. So I'm familiar with some of the issues that residents have with officers and departments have with the public. But I've regularly attended 3 years of budget hearings. So the budget of this city isn't new to me. I've got some background in that regard. I regularly attend commission meetings well before I thought of running. So I think I've prepared myself learning something about this community and investing in the community. And that's why I stand before you tonight and hope that on November 3rd I'll be able to get your support with a vote. Thank you.
Good evening. For those of you that are not regular meeting goers, I am Jim Gabriel. I clean up a little bit from how you usually know me at the bike shop with a dirty t-shirt and shorts. But I am Mr. Jim, the bike guy, or any other number of names, and I have the pleasure, yeah, those two. Because I am your longest serving commissioner. I have been on the commission. I've been honored to serve 3 terms now as your commissioner. And you know, I've been in High Springs 20 years, and I was looking back through some of the paperwork. I've been an active participant in this community, well, I'd like to think for 20 years, but really 17 years. Other candidates, and we've heard other people say how active they are in this board or that board. I am, if you know me, and if you don't know me, I am a doer. I create things, I'm a builder of things. And I'm the first one to grab hold of a shovel, or the first one to grab hold of a hammer, or to volunteer for a committee. And I've got the record that can back up those statements. And I would love to tell you about that. It would take me a long time to tell you about all those things. But as I said, I've got a young family. And I tell you, and you all know that have children, that when you have young children, it is impossible not to think about the future. It is impossible not to care about the quality of the community that your children are growing up in. And that is really what had prompted me. And again, I was involved in High Springs before I was even married and had children, because I felt that service was what I wanted to do. I believe serving people is, that's one of the things we're here for. But, you know, again, focused on the future, looking to the future, being proactive, being a doer, not being afraid to do something. There are bridges falling down all over this country. There are roads crumbling, and I always ask, why aren't elected officials doing their job? And that's the kind of commissioner I hope that is. Thank you.
My goal will be not to be rung out by the bell, so we'll see how I do. My name is Eric May, and I'm obviously a candidate for High Springs City Commission. Thanks to the Women's Club for doing this event. Thank you guys. It's a great opportunity for us to talk to you guys. It's a great opportunity for you guys to decide who your 2 votes are going to go to. Give you quick info on me. I was born and raised in Newberry. I moved here about 5 years ago. My wife and I live in the South Side. I'm not a typical politician, as you can tell by my voice. I don't like to give speeches. I don't like the sound of my own voice. I also believe that government is 99% of the problem 100% of the time. And you guys that read the Alachua today, you know that quote. To me, you look at High Springs past, there's a lot of things that the city's overcome, whether it was when the tobacco industry left, when the railroads left. People thought High Springs would become nothing and thought that we would just wither away. And we overcame that, not through government, but through the citizens and through the free market. And that's my big thing, and you'll see as we answer some of these questions tonight. Government is not the answer. Increased level of service is not the answer. The answer here is letting people do what they do best, grow the community, provide for the community. That's the citizen's job. And I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you guys, and you'll see as we talk a little bit more about that. Thank you.
Since you didn't get my little bulletin, you have 3 minutes, my dear, for this question. All right? Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, this is our last question. Are you happy with the current alcohol laws that prohibit restaurants? Nobody will believe that this is I'll try this again. Are you happy with the current alcohol laws that prohibit restaurants from selling alcohol within 500 feet of a church? If not, what changes would you propose?
Why me? No, I was the beginning of this problem, if I remember. Well, okay, so the answer to the question is no, I'm not happy. And it was brought up at a commission meeting. One of the commissioners did bring up the point about how do we arrive at this rule of 500 feet or 200 feet or 100 feet? Who are we to make these rules, and how do we go, about setting what's proper? I mean, we have a church on one side of town who I believe now is happy with the 500-foot rule, and we have a church over in the middle of town here who really doesn't want any rule, is perfectly happy just to have 0 feet. And we're trying to build our business back in our town. We have a little restaurant across from that church who has now been in business by 3 different owners, and because of the present rule, they have not been able to get a beer and wine license. We now have a little Mexican restaurant in there. I believe he's probably going to apply for a beer and wine license. And can you have Mexican food without beer and wine? I mean, come on. But, again, do we want this business to succeed or fail? So I just think, I don't know whether it's legally possible, but if one church wants 500 feet, that's fine. And if the other church wants 0 feet, that should be fine too.